What if everything you believe about ancient medicine is wrong? You probably picture leeches, bloodletting, and screaming patients. But the real story is far stranger and way smarter. Before penicillin, before hospitals, before anyone knew germs existed, people were performing brain surgery. Not with lasers or scalpels, with a stone. They cut a hole in a living skull, and many patients survived. The oldest trephined skull we found is 12,000 years old. A woman from Morocco. Her bone had healed. She walked around with a hole in her head for years. Why? Maybe to release evil spirits, or maybe to relieve pressure after a head injury. Either way, it was deliberate. And it worked often enough to keep doing it for millennia. Now think about the ancient Egyptians. They didn't have microscopes, but they knew that moldy bread could fight infection. They packed wounds with a paste made from honey, grease, and, you guessed it, moldy bread. Honey is antibacterial. Grease seals the wound. Mold, it produces a primitive form of penicillin. They were doing informal antibiotics 4,000 years ago. The Greeks took observation to another level. Hippocrates, the father of medicine, told his students to taste their patient's sweat. He wanted to know if it was sweet or salty. Sweet sweat? That was a sign of a serious illness. Likely diabetes. He was right. He didn't have test strips, but he had taste buds, and he had a system. Around the same time in India, a surgeon named Sushruta was writing down the first known instructions for plastic surgery. He described how to rebuild a nose using skin from the cheek, a technique still used today, and it worked because he understood blood flow and infection long before germ theory. Down in Peru, the Inca were using the bark of the cinchona tree to treat fevers. That bark contains quinine, the first effective treatment for malaria. They didn't know the word parasite, but they knew the bark stopped the shaking. And they got to it by trial and error. No labs, no double-blind studies. Just observation over generations. The Romans weren't just conquerors, they built the first public health system. Aqueducts, sewers, public baths. They realized that clean water and drainage reduced disease. They didn't call it sanitation, they just noticed that soldiers who washed in clean rivers got sick, less often than those who drank from stagnant pools. And yet, for all these breakthroughs, they still thought illness was caused by bad air? Miasma. They'd cover their faces with vinegar-soaked cloths during plagues. They were right to cover their faces. Wrong about the vapor, but that cloth? It filtered some microbes. Accidentally effective. So here's the twist. Ancient people weren't dumb. They were meticulous experimenters without a theory of germs. They had no microscopes, no chemistry, no understanding of DNA, but they had time. And they had consequences. If a treatment killed you, they stopped. If it saved you, they wrote it down. That's the origin of medicine. Not a sudden eureka, but a slow, bloody, beautiful guesswork. A 12,000-year-old hole in a skull that says, someone tried. And next time you take an antibiotic, remember, you're standing on the shoulders of a surgeon who used a stone, a baker who sliced moldy bread, and a patient brave enough to let them try.